This is Dr. Jerome Corsi, and today it's Monday. It's April 8th, 2024. You can follow me on @CorsiJerome1 on X, and on Substack it's JeromeCorsiPhD.substack.com. We have a great guest with us today. General Flynn has joined us. General, how are you?
I'm doing good, Jerome. Thank you so much for having me on today. Really appreciate it.
It's really good to have you on. We've got a lot to talk about. I want to start, first of all, by featuring your website. And Chris, if you can pull up the General's website, it's flynnmovie.com. General, you're on a tour right now, right? You're traveling around.
I am. I'm in Georgia. This is the third stop. We're in Savannah, Georgia. This is our third stop, and we are going to 35 cities in 55 days. And we're going to be going across probably the better part of 42 states, I think. So nationwide tour where I'm trying to give people that join us for the movie an in-person live premiere experience. We're going to show the movie, and I stay to do Q&A afterwards. So it's a great experience for people. It's really a big thank you tour from me.
How do people find out where you're going to be next? Is that on the website?
It's on the website. Yep. They on that website is the tour. And they can go see exactly where we're going to be. They can purchase tickets. We have general admission tickets, and we have VIP tickets. And VIP, if somebody purchases a VIP ticket, they get about $100, actually a little bit more than $100 in swag, books, and DVD combos. I mean, we give the VIPs really VIP treatment, and general admission too. I hang around and I talk to everybody. I love people.
And so you're doing very well with this on various channels, right? You're ranked pretty high on Amazon, as I hear.
Yeah, we're number one. Just found out last night we're number one on Amazon. We're beating big name box, the typical box office type shows like Aquaman, Oppenheimer. The other two that are behind us are Barbie and Willy Wonka 2. So, last thing that America needs is to eat more chocolate right now. We need to have people fit and ready to go, right?
That's right. Well, let's play the trailer, Chris. Let's see what this movie looks like. Go. I'll just cue it up. There we go. Play the trailer.
President's former National Security Advisor, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, pleaded guilty today to lying to the FBI.
Flynn knew exactly how the system worked. He knew exactly what the intel world had been up to. He understood its funding. They had to get rid of Flynn.
There was a moment where I just felt like I was drowning. So I'm in there with these other political appointees. They're all supposed to go in there and tell what they believe to be the truth. What they did was they took my assessment and they wanted me to change it. I was like, I'm not changing it.
He was, by definition, the most dangerous possible person for Donald Trump to hire.
President Obama said, but I do have one specific recommendation. Stay away from Michael Flynn. He's bad news.
Over time, instead of being pounded down below the surface of the ocean, we started to fight. I'm now above the surface.
Well, it looks like a great DVD. I'm going to have to get it and watch it right away.
Yeah. And the full title, Jerome, is Flynn, Deliver the Truth, Whatever the Cost. And it has come at a significant cost.
Well, we both were under the gun. They wanted to imprison me because they thought I had a tie to Assange and the Russia collusion. And of course, you were under the gun from the very beginning.
Yeah, all based on lies.
All based on lies.
Yeah, all based on lies, sadly. And they're still at it. These people are still at it. The mainstream media, the cable news. I mean, they're all still at it. And and I know that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm doing this tour, as well as did this film. I mean, the film is a powerful, powerful message. We have yet to have anybody come in to watch it, we're doing testimonials of people afterwards, and every single person has been, oh my God, In fact, one prominent lawyer the other day said that every law school should see this movie. Every future lawyer should see this movie because of the egregious persecution based on lies that the Department of Justice knew were lies. So it's fascinating, powerful story of survival.
Well, we both survived, and now we're still fighting back. We're still at it. I want to talk about the JFK. I understand you do talk about JFK during the film, and you and I I've gotten you a copy of my book.
Yeah, I took a look at it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I read the whole thing yet, but I took a look at parts of it, and particularly I was fascinated by the forensic analysis by the other doctor there that
Dr. Mantic.
Yeah, Dr. Mantic. Sorry, and fascinating because I read another book a while back, and this book, the other book, and I won't mention the name, but it's a great book. It's a very thin book, but it was written by a former FBI agent who was part of the detail, and he was a sniper, trained Marine sniper, and he was a sniper in the FBI who trained FBI snipers, right? And just an incredible expert, and had many kills in Vietnam as a Marine, as a sniper. And it's fascinating the analogy between the two, where the doctor in your book, Mantic, I guess he takes the bullets, and this is a fascinating part of the book. He takes the bullets through the physical aspect of a human being, and of course the shots in Kennedy's head, which I looked at those photos, I read pieces and parts of that element of the book. This guy takes it from the forensics of the weapon, and then the mind of the shooter, of the supposed shooter, right? I mean, Lee Harvey Oswald, and for a person, and he talks about how a guy like him who never killed anybody on a day that had some windage, some Kentucky windage as they call it, from a distance that was pretty incredible at a speed, and then with the caliber of the bullet, the type of rifle that it was, and the amount of time it would take to actually recock and reload, etc. So that part of it, and then you connected it in your book to the other side of that, to where the bullets entered, or in this case, in what this guy supposes is didn't enter, and that they had to have come from a different trajectory. And I think that's the fascinating part. And I do think that to take us to where I think we need to be, I was disappointed that Trump did not release all the files. He was talked out of it by people like Pompeo and others around him to talk him out of exposing and releasing all the files. There's no need to keep holding on to these Kennedy files inside of the government, right? Inside of the federal government. It's ridiculous at this point.
Yeah, well, my book shows clearly you've got when you do analysis of the forensics of the skull, with optical density measurements, you see Kennedy was hit 3 times. He was hit once in the forehead, above the right eye, and you can see the bullet.
Right.
Must have been a mercury bullet. They couldn't remove the particles. Then he was hit a second time in the temple, head, and a third shot hit him in the back of the head by the knob in your back of the head. And so clearly we had a government created narrative to frame Lee Harvey Oswald. The government stuck with this narrative for 60 years.
Yeah, and still has.
And with the government lying like this, I think the fundamental shock value of what I'm trying to do is to say that the government lies all the time. And clearly you experience that firsthand with them wanting to change your intelligence assessments. They had a narrative.
And I think that so I think that one of the things that I address in the movie, I don't get into in any of these kind of details with Kennedy's assassination, just because it's the movie is about a different it's about a different topic of issues that are all related. Though I do talk about in the movie, or we address in the movie, that the assassinations of the 1960s must be revisited, because at the end of the day, and that's the title of the movie, Deliver the Truth, right? So until we revisit some of those things, and we also look at other things. I mean, I can tell you the Gulf of Tonkin incident that
Right.
got us into the Vietnam War. And I do show General Powell, Colin Powell, in the movie, in my movie, briefing the United Nations on the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, right? I mean, that was all based on bullshit. Excuse my Irish,
Well,
I mean, and so we and really the first half of the movie does address sort of why me, right? Why me? Why did they so fear me? And this notion of endless war that we are involved in. You saw in the clip there that you guys appreciate you playing. You saw a little bit of who was in the movie, and Tucker Carlson plays a fairly prominent role. Devin Nunes is another one. And Devin Nunes plays a role not so much because of where he's at with True Social today, but because of his relationship and my relationship over the better part of over 2 decades, where he served on the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. And that's where I first met him. I actually first met Devin Nunes in Iraq, where a congressional delegation came out specifically to speak to me because of what we were doing in Iraq at the time. We were having great success capturing and killing terrorists, and the rest of the war was going to shit. Excuse me, but I don't mean to be, this way in the morning. But the rest of the war wasn't going so hot, so they were like, well, what are these guys doing that's working? And so we laid that out, and we brought some of that. We were able to then start really bringing some of those ideas and initiatives into the conventional forces, because I was in special operations at the time, and so I'll leave that teaser, because I do talk about that in the movie, and Devin addresses some of that and other things that he addresses, because Devin was a great congressman from California, and he does talk about some of the issues that he saw around and inside of the White House, which I do bring out. I bring out not just the Obama administration and what Barack Obama said to Donald Trump. We specifically address that, but I also bring out what was happening in the White House, and I think people will be blown away by it. It is a very, very powerful, emotional movie. My family plays a prominent role, and I found I renewed. I guess I didn't find it. I renewed, certainly strengthened my faith. I've always been a faith-based guy. I look like an old man said, "There's no atheist in a foxhole." I've been deployed overseas in combat for many years. So I've always been. I grew up as a Catholic kid. I was an altar boy and a choir boy in my early days, right, as a kid. But I renewed my faith, strengthened my faith through my family, and my family plays a prominent role in this movie. And that's I think for some people there are some number out there in your audience maybe that has gotten to know my son, one of my sons, but I don't think anybody really knows my wife. My wife she's very powerful in this movie, in her and what she talks about. You can see the strength in her. So the movie is about my story, but the ending is about where America is at. Okay, that's how it ends, and it ends really, and I'll just tease it a little bit. It ends with a message of hope, right? And I think that if people watch it, I can guarantee you, because we had a sold out audience of 850 Friday night in Venice, Florida. We had in Winter Haven, we had about 450, and I mean, you could hear a pin drop. And I do stay and I do questions and answers, and we've only done 2. We're going to do a third one, Savannah, here tonight. You could hear a pin drop, and I stay for Q&A. And after the movie's over with, you think people are going to get up and leave, and that's fine if that's what they do. But I mean, hardly anybody left, which I was really pleasantly surprised at. And they stayed, and I addressed questions from the audience for about another hour, and it's really it's enlightening for me. I love the American people. I love getting this real fingertip feel for the American sentiment right now. People are angry. People are upset. People don't trust their government. People are engaged. They're far more engaged than they ever were, and that's another message that I try to bring to America right now: is get involved in your communities like you've never been involved in them.
Well, it's going to be an important statement to make. And I'm glad you did this movie. Have you been in touch with Jesse Waters at Fox? I know he's also been, I think, very active lately, and he should cover your movie.
Yeah, Jesse's a good guy. I have not. I'm not running to the Fox News stations. I mean,
I know.
I get a
He's
I get a
doing
big.
it.
Yeah, I know it. I know, and you know, and you. I mean, I don't care if this is taped or if he hears it. I mean, I like Jesse. I always liked him. I think he still is very. He's a very admirable young man, and he's sort of he fights the noble cause that we're all fighting. But Fox cannot cover things that must be covered. And so I'm not going to be restricted in what I talk about, and so therefore I won't go on Fox, and that really bothers me. That doesn't bother me at all, because in the course of of the rise of citizen journalism, I can talk to 100 million people during the week.
Yeah, you get a far bigger audience than Fox does. I mean,
yeah,
the reason I think they went after you, so you were just too dangerous. You knew too much. You knew too much about how the intelligence operations work. And right now, the deep state and the intelligence operations are in control, and they're criminal. I mean, they launder money, they run drugs, they are
everything. I mean, all the above, Jerome, all the above. I mean, I think that people. I've been asked in a couple of recent interviews that I did with people that I had not spoken to. Podcasters that have sort of started to realize, man, I better get out there and talk to more people, because I'm talking to a lot of local folks as I go into a town, right? And it's interesting. They ask me, do we really have a deep state? And I'm like, you damn right we do.
Yes, we do.
And it's when we talk about three columns of government, judiciary, executive, and legislative, you can add two more that are very powerful. One is the media. It's another column. And the other is the intelligence community, right? And some of it is the military industrial complex that's part of that, the censorship complex, the security state complex. That is a very large column that right now holds sway over our federal government. And there's a corporatocracy that's a part of that, but you're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars that the wealth of our government, never mind the trillions that we owe. And I do bring this out in the movie. I do speak specifically to why me. And when I look at a guy like Donald J. Trump, you look at Trump, and I tell you, that's why we probably connected. We both had ideas about each other. We spoke at length when we first met, which was a great conversation. We have our differences of opinion about each other and about the direction. But I think that what is the one thing that we have in common? We are two incorruptible people. The things that corrupt politicians, that corrupt other people, they don't motivate me. What motivates me, and I'm one of 9 children. My father was a World War II and Korean War vet. Both my grandparents, or my grandfathers, fought in World War I. One fought in World War I and World War II. And so my life my legacy is a legacy of service to our country. I still have a brother serving in the military. I have a son serving in the military. So I mean, the idea that I'm some treasonous traitor, and we talk about this in the movie. I hold nothing back. I don't try to make Mike Flynn out to be a saint at all. I try to tell the truth, right? Deliver the truth, whatever the cost. And yes, we are facing a takeover of our country by this globalist crowd of people that are in our government, that are around our government, but when they run into people who are incorruptible, because in my investigation, the investigation of Mike Flynn, they couldn't even find an unpaid parking ticket. I mean, seriously,
right?
And but yet they still brought the entire weight of the federal government down on not General Mike Flynn, but national security advisor to a duly elected president of the United States, Mike Flynn. And that's different. And when they did that, they did it to show to the world we are in charge. Trump is not in charge. Trump doesn't run this country. We run this country. And then look what they did for 4 years of while Trump was in office, and he still was able to do things just because by the sheer magnitude of his personality and his never say quit attitude, because they wanted him out. They wanted him out desperately. Like they wanted me out early.
One more. You also talk about, you've got books on your website, which are excellent, and you talk a lot about fifth generation warfare. Why don't you explain what that means? I think that's another important concept that you are expert on.
Yeah, that's good. I appreciate you asking me about that. We are in a period of fifth generation warfare. That particular book, so there's 3 series. The first one, and they're all titled Citizen's Guide to Fifth Generation Warfare. The first series is titled The Introduction to Fifth Generation Warfare. The second one is the second one is How to Fight Artificial Intelligence in this era that we are in. And the third one that we just came out with is The Role of the Church. The first one, The Introduction to Fifth Generation Warfare, these are all self-published, by the way, as you asked me prior.
And Chris is showing them on the screen as we're talking. So
I can see that. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. The first one, The Introduction to Fifth Generation Warfare, is a bestseller. It's a bestseller, and which because people made it a bestseller, and not because some publishing house did it. We self-published that one, so it's a bestseller. And so fifth generation warfare. Yeah. So yes, there are 4 other generations, right? And the first one is really the rocks and sticks, right? The second is the introduction of capabilities and and certain types of weaponry. When you think about shields and swords, right? And then you get into the next generation of warfare, which is the introduction of machine guns and tanks. And then the fourth generation warfare is the introduction of nuclear weapons, right? And so there's those, and we define all these very clearly to the readers in the first chapter of the book, Introduction to Fifth Generation Warfare. Fifth generation warfare is a combination of irregular and the introduction really of psychological operations and information operations and information warfare, and the leveraging of intelligence to drive those aspects. And I talk about this in the movie too. I talk about Sun Tzu as an example, and Sun Tzu was a master. He's a master theoretician, military theoretician, and studied, ad nauseum by those that have served any amount of time in the military, and certainly even by business leaders around the world for years. The guy's been around for that. His book on warfare has been around for a long time. So, fifth generation warfare is a combination of these strategies. And the combination of them are far more powerful than any bullet or any bomb can damage. They'll damage a specific thing or kill an individual, but this idea of information warfare used in an irregular way with the introduction of psychological efforts and psychological operations, and I specifically talked to what the CIA does in the movie. And I'll tease that there. I'll leave that there for people to go watch the movie. But I introduced that, and this is what we are in, and it's not. And in the rest of the book, we talk about this not being a war of neighbor against neighbor or sibling against sibling, even though they want us to do that. These elements, these leftists, these socialist, Marxist, communist, fascist people. I've been called all those. All those names, and people, will just call me a fascist, but that means that they don't understand what a fascist is. A fascist is a socialist. I mean, the Nazi Party of the 30s and 40s was a socialist party. They were far left, and it's not they mistake what it is that we are facing, and like I say in the movie, and I'll say it here, that one of the things that Sun Tzu talks about and writes about. And we all I have studied it in detail, is war is deception. All war is deception first, right? The first thing you have to do is you have to deceive your enemy into what it is you're trying to do to them. And boy, have we been deceived as a society and as a culture. And it didn't happen because Donald Trump. It's been going on for decades, Jerome, as you know, and it goes back to that great book that you wrote having to do with the assassination of JFK. One last point that I'd make about this fifth generation warfare is the final analysis. One of the things, the last point I make about fifth generation warfare is the idea of assassinations. Okay, so you described assassination of Kennedy in that book wonderfully, but now they can't get away with a physical assassination. Although I still think that there's probably some discussion about that in some quarters. But it's just so hard. And the reason why is because we have all these cameras and forensics and DNA capabilities now in the world of science. So what do they do instead? They assassinate by narrative. They destroy a person and they destroy every single aspect of a person. I mean, you can't be, in my case, you can't be dating and then married to the same girl for since I was 13 years, since we were 13 years old, going on, 43 years of marriage now. I mean, now you can't be, you can't have come from a big family like mine. You can't, serve in our military and go up to the highest levels that I got to. You can't be selected as a national security advisor without being fully vetted. I mean, and there's people that vet you up and down. And then also an investigation that I did not know was going on. We did not know what was going on at the time. Neither did Trump. And they found nothing. They found nothing. So then they had to bring the full weight of the entirety of the federal government on top of me. That's how they assassinate. And they're trying to assassinate Donald Trump right now. And they're doing it through the elements that they own. And they own these elements. I'm talking about elements in certainly the legislative branch. And I ain't talking about just Democrats, Jerome, as you know. I'm talking about the Uniparty. We describe the Uniparty in the book, The Fifth Introduction to Fifth Generation Warfare. We describe it in detail. So citizens who don't understand the military applications of fifth generation warfare, which me and my co-author, Sergeant Retired Boone Cutler, who's a psychological operations special forces expert, as I am in the world of intelligence, we define and we describe the Uniparty in detail, because this is not about just Barack Obama and beating up the Democrat Party. I actually talk about in the movie how I was a Democrat. I was a Democrat going through the 2016 election, because I say that I don't care. I don't really care about parties. I care about America, and but these people don't. They hate God, they hate Christianity, and they hate America. They do. And boy, they're trying to assassinate Donald Trump with everything they got right now. And and trust me, they're not going to wake up tomorrow morning and go, we've really screwed, the American people. We've screwed Donald Trump too much. We're going to back off and we're going to turn on the spigots of energy. We're going to close the borders. We're going to, shore up our police. We're going to, help our military. We're going to, unloosen the cuffs that hold our rules of engagement for our military overseas. No, they're not about to do any of that. They're going to triple down and they're going to try to continue to just beat the crap out of the American psyche and do something worse. And I don't know what that worst thing is, but we can speculate on scenarios.
Well, the hatred of America is intense, and this deep state is the bureaucrats. I mean, we have enormous bureaucracy. We have enormous hidden bureaucracy. The people have to understand that we're not securing the border because the intelligence agencies don't want it closed. They want it open. Right. We are the drug cartels. We're running the drug cartels. You can't run drug cartels without banks. The pedophilia that's going on, the child abuse. Again, this evil government, we are involved in this. Yeah. And that's a hard thing for people to get their minds around, that we could be this evil and this deep state operate completely outside the rule of law and be unaccountable.
Yeah, so let's just talk a little bit about the that specific issue, if you don't mind. And then I'm
Yes.
going to have to probably jump, but I appreciate the time here,
Well,
Jerome.
we appreciate your time here, General.
So,
Thank you.
one of the things that we always believed, and it was true, that the drug problem in our country, in fact, we were the number one consumer of illicit drugs of all nations on the planet, right? Cocaine, marijuana, methamphetamine, crystal meth, and now fentanyl. And all of those drugs were produced overseas for the most part, in other countries of the world. I mean, fentanyl is a deadly, and it's actually made in China, sent over to Mexico. They're doing, they have some labs, but this is all complicit between the Chinese government and the Mexican cartels. And then they introduced those drugs into our country. We've had probably close to 200,000 killed in action on the streets of America. And I use that phrase "killed in action" because it's like a war, right? By fentanyl, Chinese made, Mexican cartel introduced, elements. It's just incredible. But the new scourge and nonprofits, government agencies are involved in this, is human trafficking. Human trafficking has surpassed the drug trade because once you use a drug, you can't use it again. Once you take one of the, your cocaine or fentanyl, whatever it is, that you're done with it. Humans, especially children, you can use over and over and over. It's sick. It's a sick disease that has run rampant into the culture of America. And we are now the number one consumer of child sex trafficking, human trafficking in the world. This is nuts. This is nuts. And you say to yourself, okay, so why don't we try to stop this? Why don't we try to prevent this? And one of the first places that you have to do is you have to have a good, strong culture. You got to believe in our country. You have to have an education system that teaches right from wrong. You got to have secure borders, and you got to have a law enforcement system in place that actually goes after those that are complicit in these massive crimes against humanity. And so our culture, the cultural decay, and people, the left tries to blame it all on Trump. But Trump is bad, Orange Man bad. No, this has been going on for a long time. And so where do we start? We start by getting involved, in our local communities. That's the best. I mean, that's, voter registration, get out and vote. I mean, all the things that we're supposed to do as citizens. And we have to stop electing these people that are in Washington, D.C. that we've been sending there forever. I mean, many of them, Jerome. I mean, geez,
Right.
You and I, and these are terrible people. These politicians are not there to make a difference, which is what I want leaders to do. I want leaders to step up now, champions, I call them, and to make a difference. I don't want more of the same political class, which is something that our founders never wanted us to have. And if we continue down this path, we are going to find ourselves calling this beautiful country the United Socialist States of America and not the United States of America. And I mean that.
If there is a United States of America, they don't dissolve it all into a North American Union and merge it with a global entity.
Right.
I mean, and but the complicity, I caught HSBC money laundering in 2011, and they were money laundering on a massive basis. Well, our intelligence agencies had to monitor all those wire transfers. They knew it was happening, but you can't run a drug cartel with carrying around trucks full of $100 bills. So,
Right.
Our government is involved in these crimes, and that's the off-budget ledgers of the CIA and the dirty ops that they run, which and I think one of the major reasons.
So I talk about it. So because I'm glad you hit on that, because I wasn't necessarily going to hit on that, but I talk about this issue in the movie. I talk about that specifically because, again, I want people to understand from the movie, because people that don't know me or only read a soundbite about me, and then the haters out there that say you're a traitor, I talk about that in the movie to address the why. Why Flynn? Why was Flynn's? Why did Donald Trump transition the entirety of the United States of America between him and the incoming president? And it wasn't a very long conversation between the two. And he only addressed two people, one of whom, was yours truly. He felt so threatened by me that he didn't want Trump to hire me in a position. It's just incredible.
Well,
And
you knew too much. You knew where the bodies were.
Yeah.
You would have gone. You would have gone after cleaning up the CIA and cleaning up the intelligence agencies if it's possible.
Yeah.
And
it is possible. That is the thing too, that I'm giving away too much, but the movie's a fascinating movie. People can go to flynnmovie.com, sign up without cost, other than just giving us your email. We'll give you notifications. Check us out on the tour. I really, really would like to get more people to see him. And we have about we're in Savannah in a small conference center. I think we have close to 200 that'll be here tonight. We're heading to Greer, South Carolina tomorrow. We're going to be in Nashville, Tennessee. I know Nashville is going to be a really nice turnout. We're going to head out to Branson, Missouri. That's another nice turnout. We've got Branson and Wichita, then Glendale, Arizona, Wichita, Kansas, Glendale, Arizona. We've got Santa Barbara, California. We're going up Northern California, and then we go into Washington State, 2 places in Washington. We're going all across the country. We're going to end up coming all the way across the north into the New Englands, down into, we have a couple of shows in New York, down in Delaware. Then we're going to head back out to we got Illinois, Indiana, I see there. And we'll end up down in Texas, because we're going to do a big, we have three events in Texas. One right before the Memorial Day weekend to honor our veterans. And I'm going to try to pull off we have a beautiful church down there that we're leveraging, some great people. I'm going to try to pull off a large veterans, first responders come free event to recognize them and their service to our country. So really looking forward to this.
Well, I'm glad you joined us today. I mean, Chris has shown the different sites. The website again is flynnmovie.com. And this film is, I think, a must see.
Yeah.
I'm really pleased that we got to feature this today and get the word out. You're doing a great service to the country again, General. And I can't commend you enough for all you've done over the years and all the fights you fought, which I know I fought them myself in my own way. And these people are very vicious to deal with. They lie. They'll put you in prison. They'll destroy you. They have no belief in God. They have no belief in anything except their lying narratives. And it's all about power.
Yep.
But General, you fought an amazing battle, and your story.
We're not done. We're not done.
Well, we're not done. Neither one of us.
Neither are you. I know you aren't. That's why that great book of yours is wonderful.
Well, thank you, General.
And thank you for sending me an autographed copy. I definitely appreciate that. And I started in on it, and it's very, very telling, and it portends. I love books that are very timely and timeless. And yours is a timeless book. And as I say in the movie, there's what we talk about in the movie. There's a real good reason to revisit the assassinations of the '60s, to restore truth in our American Republic here, in our Constitution Republic. If we don't, we're in trouble. We are in trouble, and we're off the rails right now. We can get back on the rails. There is a way to do that, but the primary way to do that, Jerome, is with really good, solid, strong, honest, authentic leadership that is humble too, because humility, I think, has a characteristic and a strength all of its own.
And truth. Truth is what will set us all free, and it's truth. And
deliver the truth, no matter the cost, right?
Well, General, thank you. God bless you for being with us, and great wishes for your success on this trip. It's going to be a huge success. I'm glad you're doing it.
Thank you,
and you've done so much for the service of the country. I think I can't thank you enough. And I've admired you for a long time. We've met in Cleveland, as you recall, in 2016.
Yeah.
And I've had great admiration for your career, and you're a true American hero. So, General, God bless you, and thank you for joining us.
All right. God bless, Jerome. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Okay. Well, that was a remarkable interview, and I'm so thrilled to have had General Flynn join us. I've known him for a long period of time, and he's went through what I went through with the deep state trying to put him in prison. They tried to put me in prison. We both fought them and won. And I did share a copy of the book with the General, and he was very kind to mention it. This is it. To search it, go for The Assassination of John F. Kennedy. That's part of the title, The Final Analysis. And it'll show you that you've been lied to for 60 years about Kennedy's assassination. We'll pick up tomorrow with a normal news broadcast, but today we're going to leave this time exclusively for General Flynn. Always end by saying, in the end, God always will win. God will win here too. We are in a spiritual battle. We're in a spiritual battle that we cannot afford to lose. We won't lose. I encourage people in the spirit of 2 Chronicles 7:11 to join 7:14 to join me in getting down on our knees. We've got to ask God. We've got to repent that we've let this country get to this point. We have a lot of evil to clear up in this country, and stop killing babies in the womb. Millions massacred by abortionists since Roe v. Wade. We've taken God out of the schools. Got to get God back into America. If we do, God will hear our prayer and he'll heal our land. This is Dr. Jerome Corsi. Thank you for joining us today. It is Monday, April 8th, 2024. We'll be back every weekday with additional podcasts on thetruthcentral.com. God bless.